Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of your weekly dose of Terraform. My name is the same, well, as last week, Anton Babienko, and yeah, well, I'm doing lots of different things with Terraform just because I like, and yeah, today we are going to have another episode where I'm going to work on some Terraform AWS modules and well, maybe fix some issues. And as usual, if you have any questions about what I do or how I do it or why I do it this way, don't hesitate to ask. And yeah, please confirm that you can hear me without any noise, because I'm still unsure that it works as it should. But I hope you can hear me well. So please write um, somewhere comment. So can somebody confirm that you can hear me well? Apparently no one. But I know that there are people who are watching, so let me know if you cannot hear me. Cool. Thank you very much, Vladislav, and yeah, Jude, to confirm. So let's see. Thank you, Tom. Okay, so a couple things about yeah, about what's going on. Well, weekly TF is still working as it should. People are reading it. I have a few technical issues related to email delivery. For some reasons, the service which I'm using, which is called Review, like this one, uh, couldn't deliver lots of emails properly. So if you have not received anything, please look into your spam and mark that this email is not spam. Hopefully it will help for the next email delivery. Yeah, so subscribe to Weekly TF for Terraform weekly news. What I want to go next. Right, okay, so talking about different projects which I was involved in myself for the last few years. A pre-commit Terraform is one of the most popular projects which I have at the moment. It has more than 200,000 clones from GitHub per month. And well, there are lots of different things which can be added into this project. I'm looking for some companies who want to sponsor further development of this project in exchange for having their logo in the README. And well, in general, it's a good strategy, right? You're doing something good for the project, for myself, and I put your logo somewhere here inside of sponsors. So in the past, N0 and InfraCost supported the development. I think it was about a year ago. So if you want to have more features added and to have more kind of successful project, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Specifically, we are looking for more financial support, not marketing or new contributions. So far, there are few contributors who have been doing this very effectively. So thank you very much, Maxim. And is he here? No, he's not even here. Well, he's answering a lot of questions. So Georgi is answering a lot of questions in issues, but he's not writing so much code. So anyway, long story short, if you want to be a good guy or girl or company or employer, please reach out to me and we can figure out something. So far, I can see that 20,000 impressions this post had, but we still need actually financial support. Thanks everyone for liking and sharing. It's really helping a lot, but we can do a bit more. And as usual, I'm pretty much living from the open source projects nowadays. So if you want to support, go to sponsors, Anton Babenko, and well, yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks everyone for supporting 42 sponsors. That's quite a lot. Okay, couple questions to everyone who is watching it right now, and maybe you will watch it later and you can kind of influence the content of this live stream. I have been doing some Terraform AWS modules development, but I want to switch a little bit to do something else just for fun. And also, it's pretty much infinite amount of things which I can do like during live stream, like talking to other people, interviews, coding, or just brainstorming something. But developing serverless patterns. Let's start with this one. So AWS has this website Serverless Land where they develop or they published patterns for for serverless applications, serverless pattern collections, and they have 350 templates in CDK, in SAM, in serverless framework, and just 36 of these templates are in Terraform. Most of these patterns, as I saw them, I mean, I clicked on some of them, are not really the best way, I would say, or they just incomplete here. So what I want to be kind of doing a little bit is that I want to implement these patterns using Serverless TF and Terraform AWS modules and maybe publish it here. So this is option one. And yes, of course, it will be open source and it will be available maybe inside of AWS samples, serverless patterns. But if not there, then it will be part of serverless TF. And well, people can learn how to do serverless with Terraform. And I will publish them somewhere here so people can discover not just modules and examples, but also more complete patterns. So this is option one. And option two, what I was thinking I can kind of involve myself is looking into AWS architecture blog or maybe even other category, I don't know, yeah, well, let's say some other categories, and implement some of these solutions using Terraform. If I look into, let's see, just for fun, there are a lot of different diagrams, but let's see some AWS backup. Well, I don't know what is it. Let's say image background removal using SageMaker. Well, SageMaker is not something what we currently support inside of Terraform AWS module, so it's going to be hard to do. But if I find something, API connectivity, disaster recovery, well, no, cannot actually find anything right now. I have this link somewhere here. Yes, here is it. So this is a link which I was thinking approximately for more than a year now. So when AWS writes blog posts, they include some diagram, some explanation how things supposed to be working, how to do it in ClickOps way by clicking in UI and configure something into CloudFormation. Then they have this button to launch stack, which can potentially create things. It's not always working without manual kind of review and without some extra work. And they explain a bunch of other things. But as we are talking about Terraform here on this channel, I'd like to take pretty much this blog post and without going into too much detail, like how it's done and why it's done using CloudFormation and what kind of solutions they are doing, I will focus on just writing pretty much the same architecture or implementing the same architecture using Terraform and see how it goes. So far, I need to be a bit careful to not pick something very big or very like complicated, which will take just a lot of time and it will be boring at the end. So I need to find something very small, very kind of concrete, and also something what has very good support in Terraform. So that's why CloudFront, CloudWatch logs, Lambda functions, CloudWatch dashboards, all of this is supported in Terraform. So maybe that's a good alternative. So later this, well, probably on Monday, I will make a poll and I will ask which one of these two is kind of preferred, or what you guys want me to implement next time. So please suggest something. So the question is whether it is implementation of AWS blog posts into Terraform, or is it implementation of individual serverless patterns in Terraform. So that's pretty much what I wanted to ask. If you have any strong opinions and say like, oh, please work on this specific architecture blog post, please let me know. In the past, I was reading this, like for many years actually, I was reading many of these blog posts and I thought like, oh, that's so cool that AWS is explaining this like in details, how this has to be done, how to integrate, what is it? No, seamlessly migrate on premises using Strangler pattern, something like this. So for me, it's pretty cool, and I really like these diagrams. They make perfect sense to me most of the time. So Umar just said, I'd say please go with option one. So option one was serverless patterns collection. Yeah, you know, I think it is really the easiest way to start with because, well, Terraform and serverless, they are still very, very early on. And every day I hear people struggling, if not with EKS, then with some Lambda functions, and they are wondering why it is so hard. Well, just because you didn't discover a Lambda module yet, which actually, of course, has a lot of bugs in it, but I will probably fix them as I go. So thank you very much, Omar, for voting on option number one. It's kind of 1-0 so far. So if anyone has other opinions, please let me know. Also, Serverless Land has very good collection of blog posts where they obviously focus on just serverless. So maybe it can be a good idea to look into let's say one of these. Well, all of them look so complicated right now. But let's say if I look into this blog post, of course written by James, and maybe implement this solution using Terraform is also kind of follow-up. But starting with patterns sounds like a good option once more. Okay, good. So this I will kind of raise a bit later. Thanks anyway for stopping by and for kind of suggesting it. Let's see what else is here. Workflows. No, workflows is slightly different. Okay, let me close this stuff. So I will open this vote later. So let's do some Terraform AWS module fixes. Again, for today, I have thought about just two of these. Last week, I did ACM. Jaipal, I will also say go with option one. Cool, great. So thanks for saying that. So ACM module is Amazon Certificate Manager, I guess, is the name of the service. The pull request, which was the cross-account DNS and ACM resource creation, like long story short, is that some people may want to have different AWS accounts or different access to control ACM certificate and Route 53 records. The proposal was to introduce two providers, which violate the principle which I described on terraformbestpractices.com. And as a solution for that, as I proposed in the comments, as a result of this live stream, which I had a week ago, to instantiate two providers with different aliases and pass these providers inside of the module. Let me make this font bigger so that everything is visible, not just my big red face because I sunburned. So pass different providers inside of ACM module with different arguments. So for example, this module call will create just a certificate and it will wait for validation, but it will not create Route 53 records. And another provider call is going to create actually Route 53 records using Route 53 AWS provider. But it will not create certificate as such. It will just create records which are provided by the ACM module. So that's pretty much it. And so far during the week, no contributions were made to this module, and I think it is still relevant for many people. So I'm gonna to work on this one. And again, if you guys think that this is too specific or you don't want me to spend time on this, there is another one which is slightly less complicated, I would say, but it's about S3 bucket. So the mess, which, well, I'm not afraid to call it a mess. The mess which was introduced in AWS provider migration from version 3 to 4 is still everywhere. People are still struggling. People are still writing angry comments to the issue in the provider, saying that it was very poorly implemented. I'm not going to argue about that one, but I would rather say that we could have done this significantly better if we kind of explain to people the point of using modules. So when you use module, it's up to module developer like myself to come up with the whole upgrade path from version, upgrade of AWS provider and releasing a new version. So that's what I did in April, where I figure out what kind of changes has to be done, what kind of improvements will have to be done to the module. I explained how the upgrade migration should happen. I wrote different comments to include here, and that's it. Many people follow it and they had no issues with it. Instead, if you are struggling with individual resources and updating your own stuff, you will have to write and figure out these solutions yourself, which is not the hardest part, but still you will have to do it versus me doing it once and publishing it as a guide. So so removing deprecated attributes is related to the fact that there were back and forth changes in the AWS provider, and some people got this warning, deprecated attribute, and they want this to be fixed. Well, very good suggestion, I would say, but I still have few things to review. So S3 bucket or ACM? Any kind of suggestions on this point? It's your chance to kind of influence and say what you want to work. ACM or S3 bucket? While you are thinking, I just received a comment, which is, yeah, exactly. It's again about S3 bucket. I'm subscribed to many of these, so just to make sure that I follow the discussion and what people are thinking. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna to read it and go deep into it, but in general, it was quite frustrating for many people. Yeah. Terraform sucks. No, I mean, okay, you're a troll from Twitch. Okay, well, I'm not gonna to discuss this now, obviously, but it's not so often when people watch it on Twitch, so I'm glad that at least somebody discovered it on Twitch. Uh, no, I'm not trolling. Well, I think we can have a little bit more productive discussion if we are focusing on just live coding. Uh, but nevertheless, I really think it's terrible. Well, if you think it's terrible, I don't know what time or which year did you start work. I'm good with ISC, but not Terraform. Well, maybe that's a problem. Okay, anyway. Right, okay, let's work on ACM, right? ACM. So go back to the code and try to improve this code which I was doing before. Okay. Right, so here is my ACM. Oh, Jay Paul said S3 bucket first. Well, it's a bit too late. I will work on it maybe later next week. So let's go on with ACM because it's a bit more fun, I would say. But yeah, S3 bucket definitely impacts a lot of people. Okay, so what I did here? Let's see. I want to look into diff just to understand what I was writing before. So I was updating example and that's what I usually do. I start with example just to understand how things will be designed, and then I think about kind of from user perspective first of all. Okay. Right. Well, it seems very logical. I mean, of course, if no one would say that it's logical except me. So let's see. Terraform init. Right. So this example, let's look how it was written. Yeah. So I'm calling ACM module, and this call should not create records, right? So then for now I can just comment out this last part about route 223 and just say that wait for validation. For now it's false. So all I expect is to create just certificate without validation for now. So what kind of changes has to be done in the module? So if I do this, well, again, I'm a bit lazy to evaluate this code, so I try to run it and see that it doesn't work, so I need to improve it a little bit. Okay. Input variable with the name ACM. Right, I probably call it differently here. ACM certificate validation options. Right, I call it just to be the same. Let's see. Cool. So that's pretty much what I expected. Just one certificate is gonna to be created. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, I'm not gonna to create it now. Okay, so this was simple, right? Now let's look into another module, which is Route 223 records. So let's see how can this be done. Idea number one, can I utilize existing Route 223 module to do the same? It would be maybe convenient because the creation of these things is already implemented in Route 3 module. Not, yeah, well, no need to introduce just another dependency here. Okay, so domain name should be available from this module, so it's local domain name. Is it? Yeah, well, it's no need to introduce it, right? No need to introduce domain name as an output of the module itself because it's kind of pointless. We instead I operate in distinct domain names, which is kind of aggregation of all of them. Okay, and zone ID. Again, zone ID is this thing. Let's put it into locals. Zone ID, not domain name. It's a bit below. Okay, local zone ID, and here local zone ID. Okay. So what else is necessary to create Route 223 records? Let's go to this piece of code. So we are mostly interested in this guy. So this guy is expecting that we are gonna to call validate certificate. Hello, Rahmat. So we are gonna to create Route 223 records, which is true. Validate certificate. Well, we are not gonna to validate certificate. We are gonna to. Is it? Yeah, no, we are not gonna to validate certificate as such. How to emphasize that we want to just create records. I mean, just to make it backward compatible. I'm not sure about this. Probably introduce another variable. But local distinct domain names, that's where the fun part is. Okay, so to make that one, we are operating with domain and subject alternative name. Do we need domains? Probably not. Ah, right. Oh, cool. So then we can drop domain names, right? Distinct domain names, that's what we need. But distinct domain names is using domain name. So we don't need the domain name as such. We need just distinct, what was the name of it? Distinct domain names is gonna to be an output of a list of distinct domain names used for validation. That's exactly what we need. And actually, it's very important that we are not using just the same local as before, but we are actually using the module output to kind of indicate that we want Terraform to do ACM first, ACM module first to get this guy, and then pass this guy to Route 53. That's probably the right way. Okay, so distinct domain names. That's okay. What else? No. Let's see. What else is needed here? Distinct domain names. So for that one, we need to introduce just another variable, right? So this is gonna to be a length of So it's going to be length of this, but it's not local. Okay. Can we use var distinct domain name if it is specified? But if not, fall back to the default one. Or even opposite. Ah, no. Distinct, no. Well, I'm a bit lost. What I'm trying to do is that instead of asking user, oh, now I lost all of my colors because it's broken here. So instead of relying, let's see, instead of trying to come up with these values myself, I'd like to get this provided by the input. So can I use Koleske? I have no clue, so let's try. Of course, it doesn't work. It's cool function name. No, wait. Koleske list, right? Because it was list. By default, this value will not be provided, so it will be empty. Type Bruno. Who's Bruno? Bruno Farina, I think so. I don't know who's Bruno because I don't see maybe all names. Okay, so this is going to be a list of string always, and by default it's going to be an empty list. Okay, so it's going to be using these distinct domain names which user specify, and it's going to be using zone ID, which, can we get this zone ID from before? No, we cannot. When we are creating ACM, do we care about zone ID? That's a good question, because probably not. I mean, certificate, does it use anything from the zone here? Well, I don't see that it's using anything from zone. Right, let's see one more time. So where zone ID is used, well, it's used only inside of records. Oh, that's even better. So we don't need to pass it here. Oh, that's really nice. So when we're making a certificate, we're just telling, hey, this is domain, this is subject, alternative name, that's it. Great, cool. Right, but then we are making records, then we are using the zone ID and domain names. Cool. Then we don't need this subject alternative names because they were already processed. Fantastic. Wait for validation. Well, probably not. So it's gonna to be false. By default, it's true. And create certificate is gonna to be false, but we need to specify create create only, create route 53 records only, right? Something like that. Or var. So that's pretty much it. Of course, we need to create route 83 records, and we introduce another variable which is going to be called records only, type boolean default default false, right? Yeah. Cool. So for existing users, they will just use this expression, this part of expression. But if it is gonna to be a new use case, then create Route 53 records only. That's it. Yeah. Okay. What else is necessary to pass here? The main validation option, where this guy is used. This guy is used inside of oh, I don't understand where this is used. Okay, so this is used inside of Route 53 records creation. So means that we are getting this from the ACM module and iterating through them. Sounds cool, but it will not work like this. Anyway, let's try. So now at least several resources should be created, but it's not. Why not? Why not? Because create certificate is a master switch, which disable everything. So create certificate here is only used for certificate. That's correct. But records should be used. Hello, Anton. Should be used for how to specify. So when we are making Route 53 records, we don't need certificate. So it has to be around here, right? So we are gonna to create records if user wants to have previous behavior or they want to create Route 53 records only, and they use this one and they use records and do we need this expression? Well, we need this part at least. Okay, will it help? Will it work now? Good. Now it's failing because it has empty list. Count 1, 2, 3. Well, I think I understand what's the problem, but I hope somehow fix it differently. So the problem here is that first module was creating something, and then the value were passed into this module call, specifically this or this one, this or this one, and the element is just trying to fetch the value, but empty list of dynamic, which means that these records were not previously created. Let's see. Yeah, this is a bit wrong. I mean, element in general is not the most flexible thing on earth. So will it work? Will it work if for now, let's say just to experiment, because as usual, I had no clue how to write it from first attempt. I write something like try count index and this is it. Type. Well, type is easier to figure out, right? It's probably CNAME as usual. Just to see if I can get rid of it. So now it's complaining on line 54, 55, but not on line 51, which is already a small progress. No, it was line 50. No, it's not 51. Okay, good. So it says empty list. It doesn't like empty list. Well, I also don't like empty list. But how to write it? Sometimes I think that I forgot how to write Terraform, but will it be like this? Okay, yeah, so it succeeded this time. And of course, if I write something like this here, well, it's a bit ugly. I mean, the whole point of this, and let me just explain why I'm doing this way. I want Terraform to not care about this for now, but let module kind of start execution, and then it will resolve it, and it will figure out the correct value a bit later on the later phase. It's not always working as I expect. So let me try another solution, which is depends on. Is it depends on? I forgot the syntax is. I used it some time ago in Route 23, specifically for this depends on, yeah, right. Depends on module ACM. Will it work? No, it doesn't work. Will it work if I specify something like this? No, still doesn't work. Okay, I don't even know if I can write something like this completely. Anyway, depends on doesn't do the trick here. Let's do it differently. Let's try to create resources inside of module ACM. Will it work now? Right. I want to create this resource first so that on the next execution there will be all known values passed to the router 3. Let's see, make a certificate. Okay, so now I have pretty much everything what I need. So if I now run Terraform apply, all of these values are already known, but it still doesn't work. So that's a good good point. So I probably do something wrong inside of this. Okay, where can the problem be? The problem can be that let's look into the values which I pass into. So where this guy is coming from? So it's complaining about validation domains, right? So validation domains for the of course. Well, this is who wrote this code. It's just wrong. So validations domain is gonna to be used inside of Route 53, but we need to check not just create certificate, but also when we are taking care of Route 53 records only, right? Let's introduce another variable. Just receive call from some spammer. Okay, let's just introduce another variable, another local variable, just to be a bit more consistent in case we need to expand this expression in the future. So let's make this as local as well. So if we are creating certificate or if we are creating Route 53 records, we need to know we need to know yeah, we need to know that. Okay, fine. So that's it, right? So we need to get information about the certificate, but we were unable. So then we get information from the values which were passed into this one, and we try, yeah, and we merge, merge something. I don't even understand what's going on here, but get working with wildcard. What this was tricky part. Okay, let's go here. Okay. Right, so then we don't create certificate, but we create records. Right, so now it should be a bit better because in fact the list is not empty. Right, so now it's working well. Okay, then let's roll back this magical change which is related to try, which is gonna to happen in the future, but right now we don't need it. Again, which version? Wow, we are demanding 1.0, unbelievable. There are almost no reason for that, but we still do. Okay, so what's going to happen? We are going to create 1, 2, 3 records, and that's it. It's not enough. It's not enough because here we need to also do the same changes here. So we are not going to create records, but we need to validate it, right? So there has to be not 3 but 4 resources created. Good. So this is what I need. So we are creating records, and then we are creating ACM certificate validation. Cool. Hello, Maxim. Long time no see. So here we are. We're going to create this 3 records, and let's see. Yeah, well, it will take about half minute to create these records and to validate it. So let me just review one more time the changes which I have added. Yeah, first of all, it should be here too, because Putin who law should be everywhere. Okay, good. So we're gonna to create these records and validate it. It took 41 seconds. Yeah. Well, this sounds like a small change overall of domains and sons. Get distinct list of domains and sons if it was not provided. It's kind of obvious, I would say. Okay, what else here? Which part of this changes I think is a little bit too complicated. I'm glad that you asked, guys. Well, no one asks, unfortunately. So, uh, mm, right. So I need to probably look into making maybe some changes when users want to validate it using another Cloudflare, another DNS provider. So here is it. I'm just looking into it and thinking loud. Do I need to do any changes here? Probably not, because when I create this ACM certificate, I specify that no route 3 should be created, but I validate through the output of this resource. That's good. Okay, so it doesn't seem that anything has to be created. This replace by this regex can be changed to just trim suffix dot. I think this is it. So trim suffix, yeah, that's what I do to remove trailing dot, just to be sure. When we added this, oh, it was January this year. Okay, right. Why it takes so long time to validate this stuff? 2 minutes. Maybe it will fail. I don't know. I think it was a little bit quicker before. That's maybe I'm wrong. Okay, well, I think there are no changes which I have to do inside of validation with Cloudflare or with anything else than Route 53. But I need to do changes inside of this. Oh my God, fantastic. It was successful. It still says ACM certificate status pending validation, but if we run it apply, again, it should say that it's issued. Cool. What's this? Well, yeah, that's pretty interesting thing. So it says that these records were, or no, this Route 53 record has changed, but then nothing has changed here. Um, the reason for such behavior, I may be wrong right now, but the reason usually is that this information is being used inside of data source, um, inside of data source, but I'm not using data source to get information about records. I'm not sure why it's, anyway, if I type yes and if I run it again, will it still tell that something has changed? No changes. Okay. Right, so that's pretty much it. There is nothing else what I think I can do in regards to this pull request. So the remaining part here for me is to update this example to make it exactly as it was before and add this one which I'm using right now. This is going to be just minor release because everything is backward compatible and we didn't break anything. But again, most important part here is that providers are just passed as arguments to the module, and that's it. Always one provider. That's, well, overall the change was not so hard as I thought. I was a little bit afraid and thought like, oh, maybe it will be just hard, but not really. Okay, so now let's look into another issue. I still have some time left. So this I will finish. The issue about who was it? Right, Jay Paul said S3 bucket first. So sorry about S3 bucket last. So let's look into this S3 bucket and the whole thing which is there now. I'm not going to explain the story, but you can look into changelog and see back and forth changes inside of provider and inside of module. But in the module, I was pretty much almost immediately, as far as I remember, locking provider to version 4.5, and that's it, because there were a lot of changes inside of 4.5. Let's look into changelog and AWS S3. Right. So if we look into this resource, they are adding. You can look in the. You can look on the right side scroll bar amount of mentions. So it's 217 mention of different S3 resources, and they're usually adding like almost in all release something related to S3. So it's just impossible for me to maintain something in the past. And yeah, a lot of these things were just added. So it's 4.5. I want to find. Right, 4.9. Parameters are now optional. Please refer to the documentation, drift detection, potential conflict. Right, so that's pretty funny. So on April 7, if I look into the code again, on April 7, they decided to make all of these things kind of inside of this S3 bucket resource irrelevant. So if I previously used to specify lifecycle ignore changes and ignore changes in all of these parameters because they were managed using separate resources, and it would provide infinite like how it's called infinite changes if you apply. So that's why I specified it inside of ignore changes. But now if I look into this proposed PR, yeah, he is proposing to increase this version to 4.9 and remove the whole thing. So the reason why I didn't merge it before is because I want to know will it work between 4.5 and 4.9, or maybe we can just increase this to 4.9. Let me see, 4.9, yes, that's when it was introduced, and then there were some changes in 4.11, and then inside of 4.14. Yeah, well, 4.18, always a little bit of improvement, which is good. Okay, so let's check out this example and try to see if it works. I'm pretty sure that it works, but maybe it still has some strange things. So examples. Yeah. Do I need test directory? Of course not. Git pull. Let's see. So this was issue number, pull request number 179. Okay, 179 is So let's look into examples. And inside of examples, do I have something strange? Yeah, well, I'm creating CloudFront log bucket. Okay, let's see. So if I look into here, why it's not changed? Well, okay, so what this person is proposing that if I go to examples complete, and if I run Terraform init, now I'm gonna to use version which is more than, well, which is rather recent, more than 4.9, right? Or let me just upgrade it just to make sure that what using, yeah, okay, so now it's this one. Okay, so my example requires 4.5, but module X is 4.9. Okay, but I'm using 427, so which is very recent. Okay, so now I should see no, I don't even have to create things. I just see that there are no bad things happening here, which is good. So now if I'm gonna to roll back changes inside of this S3 bucket resource, and I'm gonna to add this life cycle as it was before, now I see deprecated attribute. Why it is only, okay, why that's, so I was thinking like why there is only one. Well, because around 8 of them similar. Okay, so that's apparently necessary for the latest versions, right? So what if I now look into specifying a little bit different constraints? I never could remember what kind of expression I can write here, but let's say if I want to install version less than 4. Yeah, okay, let's install specific version. Let's install version 4.4.5.0. Okay, of course I need to remove, well, more than 4, just to be on the simple scale. So module requires 4.0 or newer, but my example requires 4.5. Sounds good. Providers confirming this, that's cool. So now if I apply, it will fail, but if I upgrade, it will install 4.5, which I didn't have before. If I run now, the question is, will I see this deprecation? Well, even more. I now have 32 of them, or 33. A redundant ignore element. What? Okay, good. So that's this seems like this is necessary change for version 4.5 as well. Right? Right. Yes, okay, right. Okay, so if I now try this with version 4. Like between 4.8, which is not exactly what this pull request is supposed to cover. And I want to see if it will work still. So let's see. Yeah, it still works. Good. Okay, but the proposed changes was from 4.9 because that's when it was introduced, which is good. So 4.9 here, and let's say more than 4.9 here too, because that's example, and remove this guy. Let's look into these versions. Yeah, that's another case because this is legacy code. It's using everything what is in version 3, so it's good. We are not going to touch that one. This one is again more than 4.9. Object also more than 4.9. Oh, there is infra cost folder. I was trying to estimate cost of infrastructure using infra cost. Okay, and this one is also 4.9. Okay, that's it. So overall the change is good, and well, I don't have any objections about it. Let me see. There was another change which I'm not quite sure I understand, or no, I understand why it was made, but line 98. Right, okay, so here is it. Owner of this bucket. Okay, I added it in March. So owner of the CloudFront log bucket should be set to the user who is calling Terraform. Well, sounds good because this canonical user has full control. Why I was using some hard-coded values like this one, I don't know. Maybe it's my user. I don't know why I copied it from somewhere. Let's see. Does Google know anything about this? No. Google knows that this was mentioned only inside of this module. Okay, so apparently this was my mistake. Right, so that's it. There is nothing else to do. Oh, well, there is also modules folder. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's more than 374 and 375. Anyway, it's optimistic, so it's okay. Right, okay, so now let's run -a. Yeah, probably need to update pre-commit as well. But yeah, in general, that's it. I think this PR looks good. I'm gonna to commit these small changes into yeah, git diff. Well, it's version change everywhere and nothing else. Auto update just to be cool. Fixed fixed what? Fixed version everywhere. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna to spend more time on this. If I can push. No, I cannot push. You must have push access to verify. What? To verify logs. Anyway, I will check what it means. So yeah, on this, I want to end this stream. Thanks again, guys who watched. Hopefully you learned something new, at least I did. And yeah, and I will make a poll about upcoming live stream and what to do. So far, two of you guys said that you would like to have serverless patterns covered in Terraform, so I will take 2 votes. Maybe 20 more people say like, no, 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 we're not interested in that. So we'll see. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Bye.